Hey everybody! Last week I mentioned on my Instagram account that I was going to do a little talk about why I lowered my Jeep. So let's dive into it. So first of all, Storm, my 21 two-door Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, was built about 1.5 years ago, and I originally had a vision in my mind of what I wanted it to look like, what I wanted it to do, what its purpose was, and so forth. And I settled in on a 3.5-inch lift for it because 3.5 on a 4-door is kind of like that perfect stance for me. 3.5 in general with Metalcloak, that is the game changer kit that we sell the most of. And it's really hard to tell when you select a lift size, like how that's going to look, because every rig's a little bit different depending on wheel size, tire size, and so forth. So I, in my mind, was thinking 3.5. I was envisioning that it would look like that. It ended up being a little bit taller, which looks cool, right? However, after driving it for a year, I realized it's got more lift than I really need. I do a lot of off-road, I do a lot of overland, I carry a lot of weight at times, but 90% of the time, it's my daily driver. So I am back and forth commuting, I do a lot of road miles for work, and so what I decided to do was bring it back down to a 2.5-inch lift. Now, when we measure lifts, we measure how much overstock that's going to be, and that's based on a Rubicon model. That is all of our accessories on there, our bumpers, our skids, and so forth. So if you have a sport model with all the plastic bumpers, that's going to sit a little bit higher. So it's kind of hard to tell, and we also base that off of a 4-door. Now, not the 2-door. The 2-door is a little bit different beast. It's a couple 100 pounds lighter. It's obviously shorter. So when you go up in height to a 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, so forth, the higher you go, the more unstable it gets. Imagine a skyscraper, for instance. Who's going to feel the earthquake more? The guy on the 20th floor or the guy on the first floor, right? So the higher you go, the more you notice a little bit of that body roll. And it wasn't bad. It's just you notice it. When you take off, you feel a little bit more of a backward sway. When you come into a hard stop, you feel a little bit more nosedive. When you go around a corner, you feel that more, especially on a 2-door being a short wheelbase. So now, can I make it longer? I could stretch it. Who's going to do that, right? I don't want to custom fab and hack up my 2-door. I can make it a little bit wider to go up higher and keep that stability to some degree. However, it's already wide enough. And with my back spacing and everything, I don't want to go any wider. So I'm going to stick with stock axles, keep that same width. So a couple of the reasons, one of the things that I put together was kind of a list of what are the main reasons why I wanted to go back down 1 inch? Well, for one, stability, which we mentioned. Unless you can increase your footprint size, you're going to notice it. And on a 2-door, you don't really need to go that high. The 2-door has a pretty amazing ground clearance. I very rarely touch my sliders. I very rarely hit my skids because the breakover clearance on these things is pretty amazing. So on a 4-door, on a Gladiator, different story. The longer you go, the higher you got to go to keep that same clearance. A couple other things, like I mentioned, the daily drivability. Now, that's never been an issue for me getting in and out of the Jeep. Not a problem. I'm 6'2", it's pretty easy. However, I will say a couple weeks ago, I threw my back out. Everything was a chore. And when I had to get up into the Jeep, I noticed that it's a lot harder and with a sore back. And 1 inch, it helps. It's not a deal breaker, but it does help quite a bit to have it just a little bit lower. The other one is fitting in the garage. It does fit in the garage the way it is now, but when I put my roof rack on there, it does not. So I'd like to keep the roof rack on year round, which sticks up about 5 inches over the top of the hardtop. So by going back down 1 inch, I am probably going to fit it in the garage. I still got to put the rack back on and find out. I've done some measurements. It's really close. Now, if I go from 38s down to 37s, I almost guarantee it'll fit, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep the 38s. I like them. I like having that little bit of extra diff clearance. And I really like the stance with the 38s on there. I don't get any rubbing. It looks good, rides good, and I just love that look. So now, when I go off-road, when I go overlanding, I put a lot of weight on here. So this is a 2.5-inch front coil with a 3.5-inch rear. It's the same kind of setup I had on the 3.5, so I had a 3.5 up front and a 4.5 in the rear. The coils aren't necessarily longer when you lay them out on the ground, they're just stiffer, so they're able to handle the extra weight. So it yields about a 2.5-inch lift here. And I've got a couple 100 pounds worth of extra weight in the back. I've got my spare, which is heavy. I've got a cargo rack. I have a fridge slide, a platform, and a cargo drawer all in the back of the Jeep. So that weights it down, and that's where it stays. So I like having the extra coil in the back, a little extra beefy coil in the back. If you're doing any overland builds, I highly recommend that. And we get this question a lot, but I'm gonna address it right here, is that people ask, okay, what if I go to a 2.5 and I wanna switch it up to a 3.5, or I'm at a 4.5, what if I wanna go back to a 3.5? The main difference between all of those lifts is just the coil. And when you get up to 4.5, there's a couple other things we recommend, little basic add-ons, but 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, it's basically just a coil swap. It's easy to do. My friend Dave turned mine from a 3.5 down to 2.5 in a couple hours. Charged me very little. He does great work, super easy. You just lift it up, droop them out, pop springs, put the new ones in, realign it, good to go. So anyways, those are the main bullet points for why I lowered the Jeep back down to 2.5. I personally like the stance where it is now. I think it looks a little sportier. The amount of droop that we have on our coils is pretty darn amazing. So off-road capability shouldn't change much at all. I'm still getting full wheel stuff up in the front. I'm not rubbing, and I get a lot of droop, so I keep my wheels on the ground. I've got good traction, so I'm okay with it. We're gonna try it out. It'll probably be up on the Rubicon a couple times this summer. We'll be doing lots of overlanding. And so anyways, chime in with your comments below. Obviously what I'm saying is a lot of personal preference stuff. Everybody has their different reasons for why they build their rigs the way they do. This was the look that I was originally going for right here, and now we're back to having that look. So the 3.5-inch kit was amazing. To me, this is even more amazing. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Metalcloak Mike. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll see you out on the trail.